Okay, YouTube. Welcome to Abo Caveman. I'm going to go over tillering the self bow. What I have here, I'll show you guys my devices, the way I tiller a self bow. This is the only place that I had to do it, is my nasty old garage slash shop. To some of you, this may be, some of the really good bowyers out there, this might be crude, and to some of you, you may have never seen this before, and some of you just might not care. But anyway, this is the only place I had to do it. I don't have a man cave shop that's freaking awesome, but maybe someday I will. What I got here is I got a little, this is my garage door, guys. I got a little block of wood that I screwed in to the door to hold the bow. And then down here I have draw length. Those are inches, 12, 13, 14, all the way up to 28. My draw length is 28 inches. Some people go higher than that, but I never do. But the draw length is for when we get the actual bow strung. Right now I have what's called a tillering string. A tillering string is just a really long string. That's how you slowly, when your bow is thick, when your stave is thick and it doesn't bend much, this is how you get your limbs to bend evenly. You want your limbs to bend nice and evenly, everything smooth and pretty before you string it. Because if you've got one limb that's bending way more than the other, you got one loose limb, one limb that's stiff, and you go to string it, you're causing undue stress on your limb that's overworked. So you'll have a bow that bends unevenly. Tillering, for those of you, it's a funny name. For those of you that don't know what tillering is or means, it's basically getting your bow limbs to bend evenly and fluid. You want your limbs to bend in the right areas. You don't want all of your bend to be here in the middle by the handle. You don't want all your bend to be at the ends and get a whip-ended bow. You want all of your bend from basically this point to this point. You want most of your working limb to be in the middle of the limb. And those lines on my garage, they're built into the metal, but it creates a grid line for me, and I can use those lines to see to line up the tips and see how evenly the bow is bending. So I've got the block of wood, the tillering string, and then down here on the floor I've got another block of wood that I bolted into the concrete, and I've got a hook and an eye loop screwed into the wood, a hook, a pulley, and from the pulley goes to another hook that I will hook into the middle of the tillering string, like so. And then I've got a rope with a handle. And I will go set the camera up so you guys can see as I do this. Okay. You grab the handle and you gently nudge the bow. You don't lay into it and bend it really, really hard and cause any undue stress. I'm kind of going to sit at an angle here so you guys can see. But I gently nudge the bow, let off. Gently nudge it, let off. What I'm seeing is that limb on the right is a little stiffer than the one on the left. They're close though, because if you can watch the grid lines on the garage door. The left limb is a little closer to that grid line than the right limb. So the right limb is a little stiffer, but they are close. Now, the reason that the right limb is stiffer is you guys see the reflex is a little more in that right limb. I can do some heat treating and bend that left limb with heat and possibly some steam and reflex it a little more, but my experience with doing that is you usually end up losing it after a while, and it goes back to its normal position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen up that right limb, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to leave the bow up there. I had a pencil, everyone, but I don't have a pencil. I will be right back. There's a couple tools I'm going to get. One of them's a pencil. Okay, sorry everyone. I went and grabbed a pencil. But what I'm going to do, the limbs seem to be bending nice and evenly throughout the entire length. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to draw pencil lines on the bow. Stick my pencil right there. Take my tillering string off. Hang my tillering string up, take the bow over here to the vise. Okay, I've got the stave in my vise. And if you can see the pencil lines, I scratched pencil lines all the way down the length of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my farrier's rasp. This is a rasp. It's a tool with teeth in it to remove wood. A farrier's rasp is actually used for working on horses' hooves. But you can use a wood rasp from Lowe's. I prefer the farrier's rasp. And I'm going to take this rasp. Sorry, I'm working one-handed. I'll set up and work two-handed. But I'm going to take this rasp and remove those lines. Okay? I'm going to go set this up so you guys can see. Okay, forgive the mess, forgive my caveman way of filming, but this'll do. I'm going to try to make this fast. So, I'm going to remove the lines, and being right now that I'm still getting started in this and this bow is still fairly thick, I'm going to remove the lines and then some. Later on, when I'm getting closer to the end, I'll just remove the lines and recheck it. Right now, I still have some time. So. When you're using a rasp, always go one direction. Don't slide it back across this way. You'll dull it. I do have rasps that are already dull and old. Sometimes if I just want to scrub back and forth, I'll do that with my old stuff. But on your good rasp, move one direction all the time. Okay, I've got those. Loosen it up. Move it down. Tighten it. Start rasping more. calipers for this. I use my eye. I probably should use calipers, but I feel pretty accurate with my eye. To make sure that you're keeping both ends the same thickness. Like you don't want one end real narrow and one end real wide, because then all of your bend is going to be on one side of the limb. All your stresses will be on one side of the limb. You want to keep it the same thickness, that way your stress is divided throughout the whole width of the limb. Okay. Loosen, move it down. You also want to use some padding on your vise so your vise doesn't goober up the limb of the bow. I've just got a thick piece of leather that I've got doubled up. Now this rasp has a rough side and a smooth side. Right now I'm using the rough side, and it leaves grooves in your wood where the teeth rip out the wood. You're going to want to eventually start using the smooth side, and then when you get real close to the end, I take a knife, not this one, this is just a piece of crap, but I take a good knife, a big one, and I hold it flat, and I scrape with the blade at a 90-degree angle, and that's how I'll finish the tillering process. You don't want any rasp teeth marks, gouges, or anything like that in your finished product. If you're trying to make nice bows, in wilderness scenario, whatever works, works. I mean, you're probably not going to have a rasp in a wilderness scenario anyway. So that's a whole nother video series. I found it, before I made a bow with stone tools, I found it useful to learn the science behind bows with good tools first. Understand how a bow works and the stresses that it's going through before you take on making a bow with stone tools. Almost done here. And then I'll bring you guys back over and let you see the beautiful yellow Osage. Seems to work better removing wood if you go at diagonal rather than straight across. I like to go diagonal one way and then go diagonal the other way. Okay. It's good to have a concave rasp, or I guess convex, where it's rounded, because your handle area right here, you've got this swoop in the wood. A flat rasp doesn't work good there, but the rounded rasp works like a charm. guys back. Now, as you can see, quit blocking the light. The pencil marks are gone, and there's those teeth marks from the rasp that I was talking about. You'll obviously don't want that in your finished product, but we'll take this bow back up there. We'll see how that limb's bending. I need to, for Osage, these tips are still way too fat. Osage needs narrow limbs. I'll fix that later, but let's take it back up there and see what it looks like. Okay. Okay, everyone, keep an eye on that right limb. That was the one that we wanted to loosen up. No, I think I switched it around. It's the left limb now. Yeah, I did. Let's turn this around. Just, not that you have to, but that's the way we had it last time, so to keep it simple. Turn this around the way it was. Okay. Now, keep an eye on that right limb and line it up with the grid. Okay, the bow's. The hook is not lined up right. You gotta center the hook. Okay. Now, the bow is still leaning, so the grid lines aren't working real well right now. But you can see that this right limb is bending a lot more than the left limb now. So, see that left limb is straighter. It's got a straighter bend to it than the right. The right limb is starting to bend more throughout the middle of it, maybe a little too much towards the end. We want to get more bend towards the middle, but that bend looks really good on the right side of the bow. The left limb is the one that needs loosened up now because it's real stiff. So this is tillering, guys. What you do is you go back, get your pencil, and now we will work the left limb because it's stiff. Take the tillering string off, take the hook off, make sure I don't drop my bow. Now, the left limb is what needs work now. Excuse me. Let's go back and we'll work the left limb. Basically, we're going to work these limbs back and forth until we've lost a bunch of the draw weight, because right now this is too stiff. You can never put a string on this bow. We want to reduce a lot of the draw weight, get it worked evenly to where we can get a string on it and get the bow strung, and then start tillering it with the actual string that's going to be on the bow. Right now, the left limb is stiffer than the right. We're going to loosen up the left limb. If there's any curves in the wood this way, you want to follow the dips and dies in it, because if you don't, you'll end up with a thick area of the limb and then a thin area of limb. So any undulations of the wood this way, you have to follow them. Okay, thank you. Now I'm at the handle because of my round one. Okay, switch you guys back over here. Sorry, I'm breathing so hard. I don't want this video to be too long. I know a lot of you will get bored. So, an eye on it. See if you can notice I loosened it up. Oh yeah. Now, like I said, I need to straighten out my handle area because the bow's not sitting on there straight. And so I'm really doing a terrible job of showing you guys the grid line work on the garage because it's not sitting straight. But if you just keep your eye on the limbs, it's bending starting to bend evenly. It's not real good, but it's getting better. Both limbs are bending pretty evenly. What I'm gonna do right now I'm gonna wrap this video up. I wanted you to get, this is rough tillering with your tillering string. I'll create an entire series whenever I get this rough tillering done and I get my bow strung up. I'll bring you guys back for another final tillering, and we'll finish the bow and we'll go shoot the bow. But I'm trying to do a total series on building a self bow. I know I started in a total wrong spot. I'll start you guys from step one as soon as I get some good logs to split up into stays to teach you guys that process. But as for now, if you've already got some bow stays that you'd like to work, this is the rough tillering process. And join me in my next one, and hopefully we'll be doing the final tillering and possibly shooting. Have a nice day.